Welcome to New Life Live with host and founder of New Life Ministries, Stephen Arterburn. For 35 years, New Life has been transforming lives one at a time thanks to the giving hearts of you, our listeners. Our goal is to provide you with wisdom from God's Word to give you hope and help in life's hardest places. If you have a question you'd like to ask today, our phone lines are open. Call 1-800-229-3000. That number again is 1-800-229-3000. Now here's Steve.
Thank you, Terry. Welcome to New Life Live. I'm really glad you're here with me, and sitting next to me, Becky Brown.
Hello.
She is the Vice President of Ministry here at New Life. I say all the time, you're more New Life than I am, and she really has the heart of New Life. Chris Williams is right there in the studio in California. Chris, good to see you.
Yes, good to see you guys.
And Chris, you are just back from Alaska with a rite of passage experience for your son. Is that right?
That is correct. Yep.
Did you enjoy yourself?
We loved it. Absolutely loved it. I just cannot encourage fathers, or even if you're a single mom, whatever, to have some sort of symbolic moment and trip with your child. You know, we chose 12 years old. To just kind of take them on a journey or take them on a trip. It doesn't have to be extravagant by any stretch of the imagination. It just has to be something that marks a recognition of their development and growth. And what I did with my son is we had a theme each day. And I wrote in his journal just a Bible verse and what I called a field note for life, which is just like, hey, here's how I see God has designed you, and here's some great things about that, but here's some liabilities. And listen, it's not a perfect thing. We didn't open up in these great conversations all the time, but it did allow us windows to open up some really important conversations and rite of passage things that we tend to avoid. And I can't encourage that enough for parents out there.
Well, Chris, you've just made so many of us fathers feel like failures.
Yeah, I was thinking the same thing.
Wondering how you feel about that.
I was thinking the same thing.
Your guilt and shortcomings are on you, not me. So,
okay.
I'm kidding.
Thanks, Chris.
I'm kidding.
Actually,
I'm kidding.
that's a really good answer.
No, I'm kidding. I'm really kidding. It honestly, and this is also an important fact, this was born out of my own wound. Of my father not being my own in my own life. And I'm thinking, what would I have loved to have experienced that I didn't get? And so I just replicated that. So in some ways, it actually came out of a kind of a self-interested place. But God had just been with us and redeemed it in such an amazing way throughout the process. And that's not to say that we didn't annoy each other and get on each other's nerves and there wasn't conflict. There was all of the above. But the point is that we were working it out together in this special moment.
Well, talking about that guilt, what I did is I offered my children to pay for any therapy they need because I was their mom. So there's that.
Totally.
That's how we did it.
Hey, we actually joke around, not joke around. There's a therapy jar at home. Like,
yes.
Okay, $5 in the therapy jar.
Well, anybody interested can get Chris's new book on fathering. It's entitled "Shame on You," and I think it'll be a fabulous read for all of you there. Now, I think it's wonderful what you did.
Really.
And I did one of these weekends with Solomon, and it was fantastic. It was really cool. I've got one of the coolest pictures ever because I had this sword, and I made him a godly knight, and he was. You should see this picture.
Awesome.
I should have showed it to you last night. Anyway. All right, we're going to take a break because there's music here. We always take a break when there's music. Maybe that's a good idea. And if you want to talk with us, 1-800-229-3000. And Mike, we're going to go to you next, Arlington, Virginia. That's where you live. And we're going to go there, WAVA's station. If you need help, 1-800-NEW-LIFE. There's a brand new book. Dr. Alice Benton did most of the writing. Understanding and Loving Your Child in a Screen-Saturated World. Fantastic book. And then Jim Phillips wrote the book Understanding and Loving Your College Student. And it is a godly book by a godly man.
My girlfriends and I have been searching for so long to try to find an event to attend.
Lumina is a new women's conference designed to inspire your faith, so you can lead and live confidently from God's Word.
It was nice to come here and just realign myself with who God says He is in my life.
The Lumina Conference is a 2-day experience. 1 full day of worship and teaching in Museum of the Bible's World Stage Theater, and a half-day guided tour through Museum of the Bible.
You are literally immersed in the Word of God. You can walk through the Old Testament. You can walk through the New Testament.
Lumina is for women of all generations, cultures, and denominations. It's a great place to gather with women from your church and community.
You want some fellowship and you want to be strengthened, this is the place you want to be.
This year's Lumina Conference is October 27th and 28th in Washington, D.C.
It was absolutely life-changing.
For more information, go to luminawomen.org.
To find out more information about New Life or to order any of the resources mentioned on today's program, call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. Now back to New Life Live.
We're back. Steve Arterburn here. Becky Brown, Chris Williams. Glad that they're with me. Glad you're listening. And let's go right over here and let's talk with Mike Arlington. WAVA is the station. Hey, Mike, how you doing today?
I'm doing okay. Thanks for taking my call.
Sure. What's going on?
Working through every man's battle. Guess my big question is how can I approach my wife once the damage is done? Same issues happened several times over the years, and at this point she says, "Well, I told you that I won't live that way, and if you're not going to change, then basically we're done." So it's not a porn issue. I don't have an addiction there. It's just a lustful eyes issue, essentially.
Okay. All right. So here's what thinking right off the top of my head. If I was in that situation, I wouldn't want to do it alone. I wouldn't want to.
I have an elder counselor friend who's unfortunately in Florida at the moment, but we're going to get together next week. He said he'd be more than willing to have accountability with me.
Well,
if that's what you mean, that's not what you mean.
Well, as I understand it, you've kind of messed up again after she said, "I'm not going to live this way," and you need to tell her about it. Is that right? Maybe I got that wrong.
No, I mean, she's called me out on the issue, essentially.
And Mike, are you reading the book, or have you gone to Every Man's Battle workshop?
I've never been to one. I'm actually listening to it on Audible, Amazon Audible.
Oh, you're listening to the book on Audible. Okay.
Why don't you go to the virtual Every Man's Battle workshop saying to her, "I realize that if I'm going to get better, I have to up my game a bit. Mm-hmm. And I'm going to need to spend that Saturday working with some other men on the problem." And to me, that's what's so valuable when a wife sees the husband doing whatever it takes to fix it.
Right. So that's been the theme, action, not words, because that's come up often.
Yeah.
So I guess, there's hard discussions and, a couple nights in a row now. Keeps circling back to the same sorts of things, like obviously her wrestling with feeling like I've made her feel that she's not enough, that how could it truly be love if I'm doing this sort of thing, and circling even back to before we got married, did she know my full past? Had she known my full history of my life, she would not have chosen me. I cheated her from that, and there's obviously a lot of anger going on at the moment. And
well, she's saying a lot of things. She's saying a lot of things that aren't really helpful. She's entitled to do that. That's why we do the Restore workshop. Becky, what are you thinking?
Well,
Chris?
I'm wondering what Chris is thinking. But Mike, like you just said, actions do speak louder than words. You have just tipped your toe into the pool of recovery. Listening to the book, talking to somebody in a couple of weeks, those are all fine, but they're not enough. And you guys have just begun. And I think one of the hardest things is to dive in to the deep and just say, I'll do whatever it takes to make this right.
I think that's right. Yep.
You are also up against something that you can't control that's a big threat that's inside of her. So
Yeah.
she is carrying around a shame message that I am not good enough.
Yeah.
Your struggle with lust lights that thing on fire. Okay?
Yeah.
The problem here, though, is that message inside of her will always look for a confirmation.
Yep.
Right? So it's really important. I think and it's not to pile on her, and it's not to dismiss the destruction of lust. It's just to say that you absolutely need to continue to work on this so you can feel more free and engaged and safe and secure inside of you and in the marriage.
Yeah.
And yet there is a part of her that also needs to go to work. Because when she married you, you were never going to fix that message inside of her that tells her she's not good enough.
Right.
You know, and part of the pain and the hurt that she's dealing with is what I would call an idealistic distortion. And that is, you know, if I would have known that you were a human being with problems, I wouldn't have married you.
Yes, in a simplistic sense. Yeah.
Right? And again, it's hopefully this is not to pile on, because the lust is harmful and damaging, but you're going to struggle with lust on and off the rest of your life. I don't want you to ever act on it. I don't want it to ever grow. I obviously want it to diminish, and that's what we experience in recovery. But part of that is her job to separate her worth from your struggle. And that's where I can't recommend couples therapy highly enough here. With a person that really understands what's going on the inside of both of you with this issue.
And can I add, I want to defend the women on this one.
Please do.
Because, listen.
Believe me, I'm coming from a perspective where I'm fully defending
That's
my
right.
wife, and
So
I just
here's
don't know how to approach it. You know?
You don't until you do some work. Yes, what Chris is saying is correct, but you've got some work to do as you invite her into a safer relationship.
Yes.
So that then she can deal with the wounds that she brings in. Because like you said, Chris, we all have stuff that we bring into marriage, and marriage is the collision of histories, you know, and so we're coming together on that. But here's what I would say to you, Mike. You cannot direct her in any direction that you aren't willing to go yourself.
That's good. Yep.
And let me say
Tell
this.
me a little more what you mean on that.
Yeah, go ahead, Becky.
Well, I think sometimes when we get into situations where we know that we've got work to do, we want the other person to just be okay with wherever we are.
That's right, yes.
I mean, we hear it all the time. At our Restore workshop, what so many women come in with is they have been shut down because their feelings don't have space in a situation where the husband is in an addictive cycle or even in a using cycle. So there's no space for them.
Yeah.
And so what we try to do is recreate that space so that whatever they bring into the marriage, whatever wounds preceded this wound, can also be looked at. But here's what I want you to do. I want you to do some heavy lifting so that you become safer, so that then when you have conversations, whether it's in couples counseling or otherwise, she knows that you are doing the work, that, you know, just showing up in all ways. And, you know, I hate to say this because a lot of couples are, you know, just in the early stages. We have so many couples that we've helped that on the other side of this wound, their marriage is 1,000 times better because they can have better relationship, better conversation.
Well, and when it's right, maybe for the first time, it's an honest relationship.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that's the key. But look,
That is
I got to
something she
tell
said
you
last
this.
night, literally.
What's that?
That's what she said.
I said,
Okay.
and that is literally something she said last night
That's beautiful.
about
So
not having an honest relationship from the beginning.
now I'd like you to try to just back up a couple of steps and look at this situation. This is your marriage. This is your problem. And I got to tell you, this would be the time to get the best help you possibly could. Not just someone that's like a mentor or accountability partner or anything. You really need to work with somebody who probably is recovering from this themselves and are clinically trained. And
We have
more
counselors
people,
in that area that
yeah.
are excellent at this.
And so many people have been helped at Every Man's Battle. It just seems like that would be the least you could do, is go to some kind of formal workshop to say to your wife, here's what I was doing. I was praying, reading the Bible, talking to my elder friend, but now I'm going to up my game. It just seems like that would be really reassuring.
Do you know what's interesting? And you both know this, and Mike, this will be your story someday, I hope. When people move into recovery, we ask, what the story? How did you get there? How did you get into recovery? And the victory story is, I did some really difficult things. I did some really hard work.
Yeah.
And it was worth every drop of blood, sweat, and tears that I went through, because my life now is so much better.
Right.
And that's what we want for you.
Yep. But it takes some humility and kind of admitting, yeah, okay, I've been scratching the surface here. It's time to go deeper. Well, I'm going to send you the most recent book around all of this called Every Believer's Thought Life. And if you'll hold on, we'll get the address. I'm really glad that you called. Now, words mean nothing once a person has been betrayed. It is truly, what does she see, not what does she hear.
Yeah.
That's right.
All right. Let's go to Tony. Tony, you are on New Life Live, and we're glad you are. How are you doing today? What's going on in your life?
No, I'm a kind of a hoarder.
You're a hoarder.
Taking over my
Okay.
life.
I'm so sorry. When did that start?
Well, it seems like it's been going on for years now.
How old are you, Tony?
I'm 82.
Is it safe in your house?
Yes, but it's really messing up my life.
What have you done? What have you done to get
I
help?
haven't. No, I've been listening to Christian radio for years, hoping to something that would help me. I've been listening to you also, but I'm not one to read books. Okay, to solve the problem.
Tony, how do you know,
Yes.
how has this become a problem? You say it's really messing up my life. What does that mean?
Well, for instance, I need a new refrigerator, and I can't seem to clean up the kitchen enough to move the refrigerator to get rid of it, and of course to get a new one.
Right.
I got a table full of papers notes that I just keep collecting and collecting, and all the people I listen to, I have literature, and it keeps coming.
Okay. Well, what is the question for us today? What were you thinking when you gave us a call?
I want to know how I can get rid of this clutter and mess I've created for myself.
Yeah.
In order to move on.
Okay. Now, sometimes people, and this isn't necessarily your case, but sometimes people will conclude that there's been maybe a major loss or a deep hurt in your life, and somehow holding on to things gives you some kind of comfort. Is there something major that happened when you were growing up or when you were in your teens or 20s that point to, well, it kind of all makes sense once we hear about that? Is there anything like that?
Without telling you my life story, the worst thing that's happened to me is lost my wife in 7.
What was that? Your wife? What?
The loss of his wife in
Lost.
2007.
2007. Wow. I'm so sorry about that. Tony, hold on. You hear the music playing. We'll hear from Chris and Becky. I'm hoping that we're going to give you some hope and help that'll lead to some healing here. You're listening to New Life Live, 1-800-229-3000. And I'm just going to ask you to pray for Tony, because this is a tough, tough thing to have to deal with. And we'll take a break right now, and then we'll be back. 1-800-229-3000. If you need some help, maybe you're a hoarder, call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. Let us get a counselor for you.
Our marriage was just so toxic, and just so many simple interactions that turned into conflict. And so we signed up to participate in the workshop.
This is Steve Arterburn. Our Intimacy in Marriage workshop examines the various types of intimacy, spiritual, emotional, and physical, as well as the challenges of experiencing true intimacy.
The tools that we received from the Intimacy in Marriage workshop were tremendous. It was so much that we were able to take and utilize and actually come back and apply.
Don't settle for a miserable marriage, or even one that's just okay. It's possible to have that great marriage you always want.
The next Intimacy and Marriage workshop is October 20th to the 23rd in Dallas, Texas. Call us at 1-800-NEW-LIFE to find out more, or go to newlife.com. 1-800-639-5433.
Best decision we could have ever made. There's no price that we can put on having healthy marriages.
Chris Williams on coaching.
Oftentimes I get asked, what is the difference between therapy and coaching? The biggest difference between the two is that a therapist is going to be looking for a diagnosable mental health condition, whereas a coach is going to look at a particular issue and help a person work through that.
If you need a coach, call New Life today and ask about the New Life Coaching Network. Our coaches have been trained and screened with the same intensive process we use for our network counselors.
If you're looking at an issue in your life that you just kind of want to change, whether it be your weight or leadership or other areas of behavioral patterns, check out coaching. There can be some really, really helpful things for you.
Take control of your life and take action to achieve your goals. Call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. That's 1-800-639-5433 and talk to us about getting a New Life coach. 1-800-NEW-LIFE. We'd love to hear from you. If you have a question or a comment, call toll-free 1-800-229-3000. Now back to New Life Live.
We're back. Glad you're with us here. Becky, let's start with you, then we'll go to Chris.
So, Tony, are you saying that the hoarding began at the time that your wife died?
No. I guess I was a hoarder, previous to that, but paper-wise, it's just overwhelmed me ever since.
Okay, and then one other question. Do you have any family that is close by?
I do, but not much help.
Okay. Well, so, one of the challenges that we have with hoarding is because it's based in anxiety, actually. There's a comfort of not having to make the decisions of, getting rid of papers or but where this problem came in is when your refrigerator broke. So all of a sudden, everything that you could avoid is now down to this one big thing. And it's a life and death situation, and you're going to have to ask for help. And it feels overwhelming to ask for help. So if the family isn't helpful, there are social services that can be advocates in this process. Mm-hmm. But the hard part, Tony, is you're going to have to ask for help with somebody on site. And it could be, let's just start with the refrigerator. Let's just figure out how we're going to get a refrigerator here, and we'll go from that. But I think, you calling us today is a step in the right direction. But you're going to have somebody locally. And, if we have a counselor in that area, we can get you connected that way too.
Yeah.
Chris?
Yeah, and Tony, it's getting that 20 seconds of courage to make the call. Mm-hmm. and to reach out and ask for that help. And I want, just hearing you and hearing your voice, I mean, I want you to be able to trust that people want to help you. Now, not everyone will be available. It may take a few tries, but there are people out there that want to help you and want to see you doing well. Mm-hmm. And there may be some things underlying all of this that you can get to with the help of a counselor. But as far as cleaning up the mess, what we want to do is clean up a little bit of the mess right now and get you a new refrigerator. You know, we want you to live with some comfort there. And so, as Becky was saying, it's just critically important you get people to help you. Again, make sure that your living arrangement is conducive to living.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
What do you think there, Tony?
I don't know what to think. That's why I'm calling you.
Yeah. Okay, so I'm thinking the next step would be we'll get you connected with somebody in that area. Or here's the other part. If you are part of a church community, that you can ask the pastor for some help, that they have resources as well. But either way, the next step is going to be connecting with a person in your area to help you do whatever the next steps are. Because a lot of times with hoarding, or even like with big feelings, it is very hard to ask for help because it's so overwhelming. We're already on step 25, and we just need to do the next thing in front of us. And in this case, Tony, you have to connect with somebody who's there and that can help you with the follow-up steps. And we're not going to send him a book.
Does that make sense?
Is that helpful, Tony? Do you think you can do that?
I just don't know where to turn.
Okay.
We'll
help you.
Well, we're going to help you. We're going to help you find a resource that can really help you. I have had all of the vice presidents here at my office in Indiana, and the story of my life, if it was made into a movie, it would be called Good Will Hunting. And because I love to go to Goodwill and find fun things. And I think I'm a collector. Others might think I'm a clutterer or a hoarder. But it is fascinating how objects can give us comfort. Some give us joy. And when we find ourselves in a health crisis over it, or we have to do something. Mm-hmm. And it's not just talk about it. It's really getting some help that could change everything. And that's what I'm hoping for you. So hold on. We're going to either find a coach or a counselor for you. And so glad that you called. Let's pray for Tony. And I do. And I just hope that something we said was really helpful. Let's go to Catherine, Flowery Beach, I think. Branch Beach, Georgia. How do you say it, Catherine? What is the name of that town?
Branch. Flowery
okay.
Branch, Georgia.
That's beautiful.
Makes sense? Yeah. Well, how could we help today? What's on your mind?
Thank you for taking my call.
Sure.
The show is just phenomenal. It's helped so many people, including myself, in so many different ways. Today, my question specifically speaks to an adult daughter who is adopted at 6 months old. He has, over the years, reached out to a biological dad and found him. The biological mom never came forward. In the last couple of years, she has made a connection to the biological father. Primarily, it seems to me a lot of focus, not a lot of certainty, but she has aligned herself with a lot of unsavory people.
That's
and these people seem to be people that are literally not looking at the but sucking the life out of her. And to be honest with you, because of their perspective about different spirits and all, the spirit realm, I really don't want them in my home. And
okay. Hold on. We've got to go to a break. We'll be right back.
My husband was involved with pornography addiction.
He was unfaithful. I called the wedding off. He stepped out on the marriage and ended up having a child.
The Restore Workshop is designed for a woman dealing with a man's sexual addiction issues.
My husband is a recovering sex addict. There were strip clubs, other ladies.
If you've been affected by betrayal, an emotional or physical affair, or pornography, the Restore Workshop will equip you with support and tools to help you through.
Restore has empowered me and has given me the tools to work through my anger, work through my pain, work through my confusion, and help me realize that I am worthy.
Being here and being surrounded by people who get it has given me my power back.
The Restore Workshop is coming to Washington, D.C. November 3rd through the 5th. Call 1-800-NEW-LIFE to find out more. That's 1-800-639-5433 or online at newlife.com.
Thank you, Restore. You have changed my life forever.
I have given to New Life regularly because I have so many people that I am referring to New Life who so benefit from the ministry. I just can't imagine what would happen in my area if New Life wasn't available to us.
You can help New Life Live stay on the air by joining Club New Life today. When you sign up to support us monthly through Club New Life, we'll send you the new member thank you gift of all 8 100-day devotionals, including 100 Days of Prayer, 100 Days of Freedom from Depression, and 100 Days of Peace. There are also ongoing benefits like the monthly Club New Life CD or download, access to the Club New Life video library, quarterly resources, free shipping on purchased resources, discounts on workshops, and quarterly online meetings with Steve. Call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. Support Club New Life, and together we can help hurting people find help and hope in life's hardest places. Call 1-800-639-5433 to join Club New Life today. We're glad you joined us for New Life Live. To be a part of the program, call 1-800-229-3000. Now back to New Life Live.
We're back and really glad that you're with us here today. You know, it's so hard to live a life without pain. And anytime we're trying, we're going to have some struggle. Now, Catherine's called with her struggle. You had a question, Becky?
So, Catherine, how old is your daughter?
35 years old.
35?
Correct.
Okay, and does she live with you?
She does not.
Okay. So your concern is for her. You mentioned them coming over, but I don't think that we heard your actual question. So if you want to ask the question, that'll be helpful too.
My question is, in order to get along with my daughter, I feel like it's always a matter of placating to her. This particular moment, it seems that it's a matter of whether or not we allow these unsavory people that she has allowed to come into her life and change her, because she is a complete different person since they've been in her home. She depends on marijuana daily. She's doing the saging, and we don't believe in any of the saging. We don't want it in our home. She stayed with us the last 5 days before flying out of the country, where she's going to take up residence, and she wanted these people to come to our home, and I completely rejected it. The other part is the bio dad that came into her life, 3.5, 4 years ago. Mm-hmm. Immediately after coming into her life, he tried to take her identity within 2 weeks.
Wow.
And so all of these people are very connected.
So what's the question, though, Catherine? We get that this is really complex, but what is the question?
So the question is, how do I maintain a relationship with her without losing my values and what I think to try to placate her and allow these people to come into our home?
Yeah. Let me just say this. Placate and passivity, never, ever a good strategy when it comes to situations like this. It just, the difference between making peace and keeping peace. Placation is peacekeeping. And God doesn't honor peacekeeping, He honors peacemaking. And that's what you want to get to. Chris, why don't we start with you? What are you thinking here?
Well, I think that we can disagree, meaning that we can hold our values, disagree with another person in their values or how they're living, and still accept them. We accept them for the person that they are, but maybe not the decisions or the values that they're holding at the moment in time. You know, I want you to know that it is very, very common for people who have gone through adoption in their adulthood to go through this, to overstate it maybe a little bit, identity crisis or identity search. And that in that their life becomes sort of topsy-turvy and turned upside down as they're trying to rediscover themselves and who they are, and searching for maybe that hole that was left in them from the adoptive process. I just see that over and over. So I want to try to normalize this situation without minimizing the pain or the frustration that you're experiencing, Catherine, in your daughter. And so it's going to require in you can hold on to your values as you're trying to adapt to the changes that she is making. And so an adaptation does not have to look like having her, these people in your home by any chance, but it's really trying to understand her more and more in where she's at and what she's going through. And I would recommend, if there's ways to be able to connect more on the internal level, like what's going on the inside, you can set boundaries around marijuana use and unhealthy people.
Well, and Catherine, here's the thing. You're not like
that clearly doesn't work because as I stated, she came over to spend 5 days with us before she left the country because she's residing in another country now. But I had specifically told her no saging in our home and no marijuana use. And then when she came there, she expected to do those things.
Well, but it's okay. So those are just the crossroads, though, Catherine. When we set up boundaries, regardless of whatever the external situations may be, the person that is on the other side of the boundary is not going to be okay with it initially. It just happens. We expect that they're going to be, oh, good, I understand. I'm going to accept that. But it's obviously not what happened. But what I want you to be focused on is maintaining your values doesn't require her to support your values. Now, that's hard because you raised her in a different way and, all of those kind of things. We get these calls all the time, not even about adoptive children. It's just about the relationships with your adult sons and daughters. And you got to find a place to meet in the middle because that's where you have the biggest opportunity for influence, for positive influence. But if every time you're interacting with her, it is conflictual, it will drive a wedge and you will lose the influence that you want to have. And there's a balance. It's not approving of what she's doing. She's not asking for your approval, but it's literally becoming who you are in a loving relationship. We do it all the time, but a lot of times with our kids, it's really a surprise because they have rejected what we've raised them in.
Chris, another thought here before we close up.
Really, there's not, other than an amen to what Becky said, and maybe to clarify that, is what you want to do is connect with her before you try to control what she's doing. Right. Connection over control.
Right.
All right. I'm going to send you a copy of Healing is a Choice. I hope that would be helpful, and I'm going to send you How We Love Our Kids.
Okay, well, I was thinking of Jim's book, Doing Your Life with Your Adult Children.
Jim Burns.
Yes.
Why don't I just go ahead and
But Larry's in the studio, and if we give 3 books away, we're going to be in big trouble.
I think I like it. Doing Life with Your Adult Children.
Yeah.
Dr. Jim Burns.
Yep.
We'll send that one to you because Becky thinks that's a superior product and a better source of wisdom. So we'll get that to you.
Sorry, Larry.
Speaking of wisdom, Larry Sonnenberg is in the studio. Larry, what do you have for us today, my friend?
Steve, I noticed we've had a couple of programs where we've talked to the folks that answer our 800 numbers and hear from them. And we got a note in the mail just a day or two ago here from someone that actually they addressed it to Dear New Life phone staff. Thank you for your service to people like me. After attending Every Man's Battle, I called to get a counselor referral. You answered quickly, knew who I was, and provided a good referral. My wife and I are having our second session with a great counselor tomorrow. You have made a positive impact in our lives. Thanks again. And signed his name.
I love that.
I just think, folks, you need to know it's not that hard. Just pick up the phone and call. Ask for some help. It's like talking to the man who was hoarding, Tony, a little while ago. He picked up the phone and called. He needed some help. He needs to do more. But you can pick up the phone and call. It's pretty simple. And we can help you find a counselor, a coach, a workshop, a resource, whatever. We just want to help. And
we sure do.
God bless his first steps. That's one of the things I love about Steve and what you have preached for years. God's waiting for you to do what you're waiting for him to do. Take the first step.
Yeah.
So
here's the bad news about life. The right thing is usually the hard one. The best thing, most difficult. Man, I hate that. But that's the reality in which we exist, and we just have to live with that.
Yeah.
And we want people to help us, Larry. And so many folks have been helped because someone said, I want to provide a scholarship and I want to support this person. And we have had people say, the person that gave me that scholarship saved my life.
Yeah.
No question about it. And so it really, really is an opportunity right now to help if you possibly can.
Well, and I just want to add, in a very cruel world that we live in, what New Life provides is deep care. In a previous show, we heard from from Jeff, who receives calls, and you could hear in his voice that he cares. What New Life does is take deep concern in hiring people of deep care.
Yeah.
And so when you contribute to New Life, you are directly contributing to deep care for people who need it most.
Yep.
That's what your money is going towards.
Amen.
And that is a return on investment where, if I could dare say, you're storing up your treasures in heaven there.
Yes.
Amen.
So thank you all the staff that answered the phones. You do an amazing job.
They are.
Thank you for giving. We do have a matching gift. Make a gift. It will be doubled. We deeply appreciate that. We can't do what we do without you, and God gets all the glory for all the changes that come about through what we do. So thank you.
If you can help us, 1-800-NEW-LIFE is the number to call. Or if we could help you, it's the same number. And we started this ministry 35 years ago because we wanted to help people. There was a need, and we thought we could fill it. 35 years later, we're still doing it. Thanks to the grace of God and the support of you.
For most of my life, I've been dealing with an opiate addiction.
Why is opioid addiction quickly becoming one of our nation's biggest killers? Maybe it's because it isn't only those who are addicted who are in denial.
We did what I see so many parents do, is it can't be an addiction. There's something medically wrong.
It's impossible to solve a problem when you don't know what you're up against, and families will try to find any explanation except the one that will put them on the right path.
Alcoholism and drug addiction is a family disease. It doesn't affect just the individual.
If someone you love is abusing painkillers, know what you're up against. It's time to admit its addiction and seek treatment. Call us today at 1-800-NEW-LIFE. We have partner treatment centers around the country. Call 1-800-639-5433 or visit us online at newlife.com.
We just made a decision. We will do whatever it takes.
1-800-NEW-LIFE.
Hi, this is Steve Arterburn, and for over 34 years, New Life has been the most trusted name in Christian counseling.
Your ministry has saved my life.
If you struggle with emotional hurt, family, or marriage problems, the pit of depression, or the pain of addictions, we can help.
I'm down 100 pounds now from what I was.
Our treatment programs provide clinically appropriate solutions from licensed professionals, all in a biblical framework.
I have had problems with alcohol. I think God has ordained this place to be His.
You don't have to be a prisoner of your pain. Help is available at 1-800-NEW-LIFE.
She tells me that I'm a new man, and I feel like a new man.
It worked for me, and it can work for them too.
This time it is different.
If you're ready to take the first step towards genuine spiritual and emotional healing, call us today at 1-800-NEW-LIFE. God can open the door to a better tomorrow Call 1-800-639-5433.
To find out more information about New Life or to order any of the resources mentioned on today's program, call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. Now back to New Life Live.
We're back. Glad you're with us. Chris Williams, he's a local clinician there in Southern California. Becky Brown is our Vice President of Ministry. Anything that happens here, she's somehow involved with it. It's pretty exciting. Becky, which caller did you want us to
I want to talk to Jerry.
Jerry. All right, we're going
Tennessee.
to talk with Jerry here, and he is calling from Memphis, Tennessee, Sirius XM. Jerry, how you doing today? Becky especially wanted to talk with you.
I don't know. I'm doing.
Oh. How can we help you, Jerry?
What has happened? Yeah, let us know.
I don't know. Like 5 years ago, my ex-fiancée, I have 2 kids with her, and she just quit letting me talk to them. She's blocked me from everything in their life. I can't call, text, nothing. And I don't know what to do.
Well, Jerry, what have you done?
Well, I'm a truck driver, so there's not a whole lot I can do because, I mean, I've tried getting on the Facebook. I've got a daughter from somebody that I used to date in Florida that tried to get a hold of them, and she's blocked them. So I just,
Jerry,
I don't know.
Are you named on their birth certificate as the father?
Yes.
Okay, well, you have father's rights, and it's going to extend a little bit further than Facebook. And while being a truck driver can be challenging, it is the reality that you live on the road. And so we've got to figure out a way to find connection. Now, is there a reason that you know, that you haven't said already, that she has disconnected you from your children?
I mean, there was a lot. We had a lot of problems. I went back to trucking after I met her, and before that, I had cheated on her. She knew about it, and then she had moved in her high school boyfriend, and I came home one day, and then that's when she just said that she wasn't in love with me anymore, and after that, she had wound up moving to North Carolina with my kids. She had told her other son from a previous that I wasn't her dad or his dad, and I mean, I can understand that. I mean, I wasn't, but I treated the boy like he was mine. And then, like I said, it was Christmas about 4 or 5 years ago. I decided to stay out on the road from my wife that I'm married to now, just to try and make some money, and since then, I have not been able to talk to him.
Okay, so here's the thing. One more question. How many children have you fathered? How many kids do you have?
I have 5.
Okay, and how many women do you have those children with?
3.
Okay. So see, there's a different problem that we're talking about. Yes, it's very important that you begin to reconnect with those kids, but what I want you to do, Jerry, is I want you to begin to work on you so that when you do connect, there's not more drama that goes with the reconnection.
Yeah.
But I'll let Steve and Chris speak into this.
Chris, you take it away there.
Oh, Jerry, man, I feel for you because what I'm seeing in your story is a lot of relational chaos. And it speaks a little bit to what, or a lot of it, to what Becky was referring to. Is that, of course, there actually is legal, as she said, legal father rights to your children, as long as you're listed on their birth certificate, that their mom cannot legally keep them away from you without her own legal action. And there doesn't seem to be that in place. So you can actually reconnect with them. But what I want you to be able to ultimately do is in your own life, begin to start doing a deeper dive into your own story and your own patterns and being like, what is leading me to all of these different relationships where I'm fathering children from these different relationships? Because I'm telling you, that's pointing back to a chaotic experience of your own life and your own relationships. And I would even propose that that's also leading you, more than just a financial need, leading you to take off on Christmas to go do a job. Mm-hmm. Because, Jerry, my friend, there is something that you are running from that is inside of you that you cannot outrun. And I want you to stop long enough in a safe enough place to be able to confront that and be able to resolve that and reconcile you back to you so you can reconcile yourself back to the people in your life.
Well, it'd be a great thing if that could happen. What do you think, Jerry?
Well, I mean, I don't know how my childhood wasn't the best. Mm-hmm. You know, I didn't grow up with a dad. Mm-hmm. You know, just 18. Back in 2018, we lost my mom. Mm-hmm. And after we had separated, they lived in the same town, and she would not even let them go see my mom. So my mom died, and in the same town, and didn't even get to see her grandkids. Wow. So I mean, I don't know what to do. Yes, I know that my life has not been the best. You know, I'm remarried. I've been with my wife now. I've been with her since 2012. We've been married for 10 years.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And Jerry, I think, so Jerry, here's the thing. One thing that you could do is you could go to Every Man's Battle. I know that that's not currently what you're thinking, that there's a problem, but there's a disconnect inside of you, like Chris said. Then all of the children have different situations because they have different moms. They're in different locations. There's different situations. But we want you to show up in the lives of every one of them as the same man of character, mm-hmm. so that you restructure their future. And they may never live under the same roof with you, but you will have a connection with them. And that when you're invited to drama, which sounds like a lot of people want you to be either in the audience or on the stage with them, that you can say, you know what, that doesn't fit into who I am now. I'm going to be the best man that God has created me to be, and I'm going to make it right. And it's going to take some time. It's not going to be one decision and everything's fixed. It's going to be one decision after the other in the right direction.
Well, it really is the message of Take Your Life Back is responding rather than reacting, and mm-hmm. learning to respond in the best way possible. Well, Becky, tell people about Lumina.
Well, we have a women's event that's going to happen October 27th and 28th in Washington, D.C., where you're going to have great teaching by Jenny Allen, Lauren McAfee, Danielle Smith. There's a bunch of women teachers that are going to just inspire you to get into the Word of God, as well as a tour of the Museum of the Bible on the next day. And it's not a gigantic event. It's, limited seating, so you want to get your tickets right away and bring some of your friends to join us there. It will make an impact in your life with the Word of God.
We're excited to be part of it. Great partnership there. Lumina, October 27th and 28th, Washington, D.C., Museum of the Bible. The weekend before that, Intimacy in Marriage, you could really repair some damage done in a marriage. Thank you, Becky, for joining me. Thank you, Chris. Thanks for sharing your adventures to Alaska, way up north.
So much fun.
To Alaska. Appreciate it. 1-800-NEW-LIFE. Call us. We want to help you.
Thanks for listening. We hope this program has helped you by giving you insights for handling the challenges you face in your life. We want you to know that we're here for you, but you also need to know that New Life Live is a listener-supported ministry. To make your donation or to get any of the resources mentioned on today's program, call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. That's 1-800-639-5433, or write to us at New Life Ministries, P.O. Box 1029, Lake Forest, California, 92609. Please join us again tomorrow for New Life Live.
Hi, thank you for watching New Life Live. You know, New Life Live is a Christian counseling program where we deal with the hard questions about life, relationships, kids, free choice, freedom of will, whatever. It's all right there on New Life Live every day, every weekday, 1 p.m. Eastern, 10 a.m. Pacific. If you want to call into the live broadcast, you can find the schedule on newlife.com or click the social media link right below. You can see every episode of New Life Live on the New Life YouTube channel. Watch it with a friend, watch it later. Be sure to subscribe and hit that bell so you'll never miss another episode. So if you want to listen on the go, download the app. The link is right below. And I hope if you need some information, if you want to get some help, you'll call us at 1-800-NEW-LIFE. And I'll see you next time.